So I was talking about CAD and CAM. CAD deals with the design. Deals with the design to be taken design, and the manufacturing is dealt with the computer-aided manufacturing, which is called CAM. So in between we have another department which is called CAP, which is called process planning. Which is if the process planning is done by computer, done using computer, so it's called computer-aided process planning. So this is very important. This is very important department of any enterprise apart from design and manufacturing, and it acts as a interlinking department. So starting with the like with this introduction, I will start with the basics of the process planning. How so we all know that two important areas in the life cycle of a product in the life cycle of a product are design and manufacturing. Uh, Design and manufacturing. And to interlink or to integrate these two, design and manufacturing, process planning, we have process planning as I already told you. Process planning generally consists of preparing a set of instructions that describe how to fabricate a part or build an assembly which generally satisfy engineering design specifications given to the part given by the designer. So designer gives some design specification for a part just to be manufactured by manufacturing engineer, but for how that particular part to be to be fabricated and finally assembled, that those instructions and preparing the set of instructions for that particular part, for the fabrication of that particular part is called a process plan. And the planning these plans is called process planning. Next, so now I will discuss the basics of the process planning. I've already told you that it involves the detailed instructions which can be used to fabricate a part to the specifications. These instructions include, first of all, selection of operations. We have to select suitable operations for that particular part to manufacture it. Then followed by selection of machine tool, what machines to be used, what cutting tools to be used. That is also to be selected. Then machining parameters like depth of cut, feed, speed, and all those things to be selected. Finally, we have to sequence the operations for that and sequence the operations for that. And in the end, setup planning and fixture planning to be done. What are the work holding devices? What are the how many setups will be formed? Number of features to be number of parts of features to be manufactured in a particular setup that has to be decided in the process planning stage itself. So systematic determination of the method by which a product is to be manufactured economically and competitively. So by this process planning, these process planning methods determine that how we can manufacture that particular part economically and competitively. Competitively means time to market should be less, cost should be less, and production rate should be high. So that we can achieve using process planning. So sometimes people get confused with process planning and production planning. So I felt that this should be shared here. Uh, Actually, these two terms are altogether different. Process planning is entirely different from production planning. Process planning generally concerned with the engineering technology issues of how to make the product and its parts. What type of equipment we will choose, what type of tooling are required to fabricate the part, and how we assemble those products. These all things are covered in the detailed plan or detailed preparation of the plan for all these things is covered under process planning. While in production planning, we are mostly concerned with the logistic issues of making the product. That is, how to order the materials, how to obtain the resources that are required to make the product, and in sufficient quantity so that the demand can be met. And and marketing, etc. is covered in the production planning. So it may be noted that production planning differs quite different from the process planning, and it may be noted that production is done after the process planning always. Now, how a process planning is developed or prepared. So number of activities are involved. First of all, we have to analyze the part requirement, part specification, which includes the size of the part, etc. Then we have to select the starting workpiece, which is called raw workpiece or stock workpiece. Again, then next one is determining manufacturing operations and their sequences. What are the operations which are to have to be used for the to manufacture the particular part and their sequences. Selection of machine tools, then cutting tools, work holding devices for picture and setup planning, then the to determine the machining conditions and manufacturing time. Finally, we have to determine the what should be the feed, what should be the depth of cut, what should be the production time, manufacturing time, etc. We have to decide. So these all activities are all together form a process plan. So we have to take care of all these activities. So one by one, I will explain what are the different activities to be considered under the individual activity. So starting with the analysis of part requirements. Part requirements can be defined can be defined by part features. Nowadays feature based technologies have come up. So we can represent a particular part by its features. Features means like if I take an example of a manufacturing part, so if the features mean which features can be subtractive, features can be additive. So features mean which we sometimes if we remove some material from the raw workpiece and the resulting shape or resulting shape whatever we get is called a feature on that particular part. So part using part features we can define the part requirements, which include again determination of the process of that particular feature depending on its type, depending on its type. Then steps of the processes. Again, next one is dimensions of the part, which again drive or which decide the machine size of the machine tool. Third one is tolerance specifications, the specified tolerance which decide the capability of the machine tool and also which decide the generation of the CNC code to manufacture the particular part which will be used in manufacturing stage. So these are the different attributes or the different things we have to consider under the activity of part requirement. Next one is selection of raw workpiece, which is very important and it involves attributes such as shape of the workpiece. The workpiece can be made of standard materials, can be the workpiece. We can start with standard shapes like rod, slab, plank. The workpiece can be cast, pre-shaped material like forged and extruded. So these this shape of the workpiece generate different plans if we choose the shape of the raw workpiece differently. Then next one is size of the workpiece. Again, it is very important to select the machine tool. Then material of the workpiece. It again decides the cutting conditions for that particular part and selecting the tools, cutting tools accordingly. Third activity is determining the manufacturing operations and their sequences. Uh, uh, the selection of processes depends on the availability of that particular process for that particular part, accuracy requirements, what are the surface finish requirement, tolerance requirement for that particular part. Depending on that, also process capability is decided and processes are selected. Suitability, whether the particular process is suitable or not, depending on the theoretical and technological interaction of the features on that particular part, and finally cost, whether like it should not be like we are selecting a process and costly process for a part which is not that functional or useful for the like market purpose. So we have to select a process cost effective also. Then sequence of operation. For sequence of operations, work holding methods by which we hold the work holding methods are those methods by which we hold the workpiece on the particular machine to manufacture that. So it will decide definitely the work holding methods decide the sequence of operation, ability of the cutting tools. So these all things are covered in the setup planning and picture planning. So if we have time, I will cover that. Selection of the machine tools. Selection of machine tools involved workpiece related attributes such as part features, dimension. Again, I have already told you the part features, size of the part features and shape of the part features decide the size of the machine tool and the type of the machine tool. Dimension tolerances again the capability of the machine tool. Tolerances drive the capability of the machine tool. What are the minimum and maximum tolerances can be achieved on a particular machine tool. So that is also very important. The form of the raw material. The next one is machine tool related attributes, which include capability again, size, mode of operation, whether the machine is manually operated, automatic, or computer CNC operated machine. Tooling capability, with the tools which are used on that particular machines are like what are the type of those tools, size of the tools. That also again affect the selection of machine tools. Changing of tools capabilities, like whether the tools are changed on that particular machine tool using manually or maybe automatically, like automatic turret, or you must have you must have seen that we have turning center, machining center where the tools are changed automatically using a turret. Then production volume related information: what is the production quantity we want to produce, and accordingly we have to choose the machine tool. Then order frequency, what is the frequency of the order, how frequently the orders are received. So we have to assign the machine tool accordingly. So that also affects the process plan. Next one is selection of tool and work holding devices. Selection of tools and work holding devices. The tool selection depends on material of the tool, shape of the tool, size, its radius, nose radius, and the tolerances achieved by that particular tool. And work holding devices, which are generally, I have already told you that these are the devices to position the work pieces accurately and hold it securely. So again, we can have work holding devices manually operated. The examples are collets, chucks, mandrel, face plates, and we can have sometimes we have for particular part we have specially designed devices, power chucks and other jigs and fixtures. So according to the process, we have to plan the manufacturing. Finally, the determining the machining conditions and the manufacturing time. Machining conditions like machining parameters. Actually. Conditions mean machining parameters. So which mainly include speed of the cutting speed, that is cutting speed, feed rate, what is the rate of the feed to the machine, depth of cut. These three are the basic, like important condition or parameters by which the machining is affected. So the objective is to set the cutting conditions, speed, rate, and cut rate, etc., in such a way that the economy we the such that the economically best production state is achieved. So what is the best economically production state? So like we can have minimum production cost, we can have maximum production rate. So depending on these two conditions, we can say the production is economical or not. So next one is first of all, so how the feed is chosen. The feed depends on the type of cut actually. So if we have finished machining, like where we have the finishing operations, so we have to select the proper feed rate because the surface quality or surface reference will suffer otherwise. So we can have we have to keep the feed of the cut relatively low. Next one is for roughing operations, rough cut. If we are doing roughing operations, so feed rate is not effective as cutting speed over tool life. Therefore, the feed should be set to maximum as per tool life. So feed can be like we if the surface quality surface quality requirements are not that important. So we have to choose the feed rate as much as possible. So again, the feed rate is for cutting speed, the choice of the cutting speed. So how to choose the cutting speed? Cutting speed, which is designated as a V, is said to provide the optimum tool life. It directly related to the tool life. So if we have high cutting speed, we we are decreasing the tool life, and obviously elevating the cost of the tool, which but we can have high production rate with high speed, and production time also can be reduced. So these are the benefits. Again, on the other hand, with lower cutting speed, the tool life will be higher, cost will be lower, but the rate and production time will be on the other side. That is low production rate and higher production time. So we have to be very wise on that. So what is the requirement and what is the selection? So coming to the cost calculation, different machining time and cost calculation. So if I calculate minimum cost per piece, which can be defined as which can be cost per component can be defined as summation of non-productive cost. We have like idling cost and such. Sometimes we have sometimes we associate costs to the manufacturing which are non-productive to the enterprise. So these costs are termed as non-productive cost plus machining cost, machining cost plus tool changing cost and tooling cost. So this can be like this. This is a general expression, can be found anywhere. So which is Cu equal to C naught T1 plus Tn plus C naught Tc plus like that. Where C naught is labor and overhead cost, Ct is tool cost per cutting edge, Tl is non-productive time, Tc is machining time, Td is tool changing time. So accordingly, we can find the minimum cost per component. We have to minimize that actually. So our motive should be to minimize this cost per component. So for if I take turning operation as an example, so for a single pass turning operation, we have a machine TC machining time per piece as pi LD by VF, cutting speed, F is speed, by L and D are the dimensions of the workpiece, diameter and the length. So from this expression, we can calculate the time machining time per piece for example turning operation. So using this, and also we know it is well known that Taylor's equation for tool life VTN equal to C, where V is the speed, T is the tool life, and N is the Taylor's exponent. So using this expression, we can calculate the tool life. So combining all these three equations, you can have the cost per piece, that is Cu. The expression is like this. Then we have to minimize this cost. So from the mathematics, we know that if we differentiate this equation, or if we want to minimize that a particular expression, we have to differentiate it. So we here also we will differentiate this equation with respect to cutting speed, which is a variable, and we equate that to 0. And after solving for cutting speed and for minimum production cost, the aim is to minimize the production cost. So we get P minimum as this expression, and corresponding the P minimum, the minimum tool life. So we can get these expressions. So time now coming to the second objective, if we want to maximize the production rate. So how to calculate that? So for that we have to calculate first the time per component, which can be defined as non-productive time plus machining time and tool changing time. Again, similarly on the same as previous, we will differentiate that for maximum production rate, and using that we will get maximum speed because for maximum production rate the speed will be maximum. So maximum product and corresponding T maximum. Now coming to the lead time, manufacturing lead time can be defined as S plus Q, where S is wafer setup time, Q is production time per piece, and Q is lot size. Now, with this example, I will try to explain how these parameters are calculated. So we have an example where it is given a lot of 500 units of steel rods, 20 centimeter long and 6 centimeter in diameter, is turned on a CNC lathe at a feed rate of 0.2 mm per revolution, and a depth of cut equal to 1 mm. The true life is given to you, and other data, relevant data is also given to you to calculate the various component length, so which include labor rate, overhead rate, uh, uploading time, tool cost of tool. So using this data, you can compute the other quantity. So the question is, we have to determine optimum tool life and optimum cutting speed to minimize the cost. First objective is the cost minimization. So for that, we have to get the optimum tool life and optimum cutting speed. Second one is optimum tool life and optimum cutting speed to maximize the production rate. So accordingly, we have to find out. Then minimum cost per component, time per component, and corresponding lead time, maximum production rate, and corresponding cost per component and lead time. So coming to the first problem, where we have to get the optimum tool life with respect to minimizing the cost. C naught CT in these questions can be calculated using the given data. Then T minimum and V minimum are obtained in the can see the using the previous expression we have already discussed. We will get T minimum as 82.56 minimum and V minimum as 82.3 meter per minute. You can try this at home, so you can get this value. Second objective like this, we can answer all four problems asked for maximum production rate also. Cost for maximum production rate, CU you can get. So like this, like the motive of explaining all this was, so this is the procedure we follow to get the machining parameter in for to plan manufacturing for a particular part. Like these are the things we have to. This is the way, or this is the procedure, or this is the calculation which we follow to prepare a process plan and to select the machining parameters for the particular. So coming to the principal process planning approaches. So we have two kinds of process planning approaches, which is first one is manual or experience-based process planning method. The second one is computer-aided process planning method. So one by one we see, and I will briefly introduce all these two methods, and then finally we will discuss the computer-aided process planning in the end. So coming to the manual experience-based process planning method. Manual experience-based process planning method means which is done manually actually, and based on the experience of the planner. So if we have more experienced planner, so we will have good process plan. So anciently or till now also, this is most widely used method. Like generally, it's till date, it is being used in most of the industries. In most of the because it depends on the experience of the process planner. This is always help in getting a feasible process plan. But again, on the other hand, it is time consuming because all the things are manual. Manual calculations are there, and it depends. Depends. It includes many brainstorming sessions, so it takes time. Inconsistent plan means if today I prepare some plan for some part, taking some maybe some considerations. Maybe at a later date, maybe a week after or month after, I may come up with a different plan. With the same person, different plan can be generated. So that inconsistency is always there with manually process planning. So and it required highly skilled planners, so therefore costly. Like without having highly skilled planner, if you are getting a process plan using manual methods, so that is not at all optimal or feasible. So if you want to get feasible or optimal process plan using manual methods, you have to get highly skilled planner. So therefore the cost is associated with that, and which is like so which makes the manual process planning methods costly. Uh, it is. I've already told you it is used widespread still. Its use is still widespread in small to medium sized companies, especially in aerospace industry where the parts are not manufactured in a batch or batch size. or in a bulk involves subjective judgments reflecting personal preferences and experiences. It is quite obvious. Like if it is done manually, or if a particular process planner is responsible for process plan, so he will use his own experience. Like he and also some personal preferences also there also can be like incorporated. So it involves that plans prepared by different planners for similar parts are usually not identical. Again, true. So two different planners can generate. Even one single person can generate different or non-identical plans at two different rates. So this is also very like you can say that it's a disadvantage. Very labor intensive. 40% tasks about completion of documentation. Like 40% of the manual process planning part is like we have to document a lot of things. We have to calculate, we have to compute each and every parameter manually, and we have to keep the document of everything. So documentation is uh, um, like number of document high documentation is involved, so it makes the manual method labor intensive. So process planning. So coming to the factors which affect the process planning, which include volume of the production, the skill and expertise of the manpower, delivery dates, material specification, accuracy and process capability of machines, accuracy requirements of parts or products. So these are the factors which affect process planning. So process planning, because of these reasons, of these factors, we can say manual process planning is not like should not be is not that feasible. So we have to like the need to automate this process planning has come into the picture. So which so this need actually this need emerged emerged the this concept computer aided process planning, which we discussed now. The computer-aided process planning, also called as CAPP, is the process of encoding a process planning knowledge into an efficient software by adopting expert rules and thereby facilitating an automatic generation of process plan without human intervention. So the main points are there is no human intervention. We don't require like once the software once the computer aided software or system is prepared for generating a process plan, you don't need any human like to come into the picture. So that is again a good point. Then it has to use the process planner knowledge like manual process planning does. So we have to take that positive thing from that also. So we have to automate the process planner. So we have to make it software which should be efficient also and user friendly. So which should use the expert tools. So like actually this CAP computer aided process planning, we can say that this works as a bridge between CAD and CAM. So now the need of the CAM. The need of the CAP also can be understood in this way. Like we have the shop trained people who are familiar with the details of machining and other processes, but we will get those people gradually retiring, and those people will be unavailable in future to do the process planning. So in that case, we have to have a certain procedure or certain system which uses their knowledge or their expertise in future also. In case a good software software person which is having a good experience in manufacturing is not available or not is retired or not available. So we should like use that the expertise of that particular process. So we can achieve that by automating the process planning. So that's why the need of CAP comes into the picture. These are the typical benefits. The research shows that 50% increase in process planner productivity we can achieve by CAP, and the capacity of the existing equipment is increased by 20%. setup costs are reduced by 25%. Tooling requirements are reduced by 12%, and rework and scrap and waste are reduced by 10%. Labor process manual process planning or labor intensive, so we achieve 10% reduction in labor of shop floor labor also. 6% reduction is working process. Sometimes there is a delay in there is a delay in a work between two activities, so that particular delay is also can also be reduced by using CAD. And material requirement also want to be reduced by 4%. So these are the data which are actually obtained using continuous research in this field. So another benefits are product rationalization and standardization. CAP lead to more logical and consistent process plans, lower manufacturing cost, and higher quality. So, increased productivity of process planners, more work can be accomplished. If the process, if we are using a computer, so we can have the process plan generated in no time or in a less time. So, we can accomplish more work, reduce lead time for process planning. The span of the time is also reduced. Improve legibility. Computer prepared route sheets are neater and easier to read. In manual planning, the route sheet or process plan, route sheets are nothing but process plans. So manual route sheets are not so user friendly to understand. But in computer generated route sheets or process plans, they are well self explained and easier to read. We can also have manufacturability feedback, whether the particular part is manufacturable or not with respect to manufacturing. So we can make use of this CAP or the generated process plan or the CAP technology to give the manufacturability feedback also. So how this computer-aided process planning is achieved. So here I want to say that in that particular thing, actually the for computer aided process planning, we have to automate everything. We have to represent the design suitably for your software or system automatically. So we have so for this purpose, manufacturing features particularly play a important role. So we're using these manufacturing features, the workpiece selection, process selection, tool selection, feed, operation sequencing, setup planning, picturing, part programming, everything is automated. If we have every information about features automatically, if we can get the design information automatically, which is done using feature, so we can achieve all this selection or all these activities of process planning also automatically. So this benefiting features are very important, which are recognized from the design part given by the designer. So the different techniques are there for feature recognition, which is a altogether different field. Maybe like can be discussed later. So there are two basic approaches for computer-aided process planning: retrieval or variant cap system, generative cap system. And sometimes we have combination of these two approaches also. So what is retrieval and generative? So here I explain to you. Coming to the retrieval or variant process planning approach, it involves or it is dependent on the good data mining and search engine technique. We have like we you will understand how why data mining and search engines are required for variant process planning approach. Variant process planning approach means these systems require a database containing a standard process plan. Like we make a standard process planning for a particular part, and for a particular part in the form of a database, and that particular process plan is retrieved or maybe or searched using data mining and search engine for to match with the current part to be designed. Uses similarity among the component to retrieve existing process plan. So if a new part has come to design, so first of all, variant process planning, pros- uh, uh, variant process planning approach. It the the components are scanned for similarity with respect to the existing process plan, existing standard process plan in the database. Standard plan. What is a standard plan? So used by a family of components. So then we make a family of part or family of components similar to that particular part or standard part for which a standard plan is standard process plan is generated and saved in the database. So a family is made and standard plan is stored permanently in the database to the family number as its key. So that particular family is given as a code or number, and that particular number is assigned to that particular standard plan, which is stored permanently in the database. This is the key of that particular thing. The standard plan includes sequence of fabrication steps or operation manufacture a master plan. So standard plans, what is the standard plan? Is again a process plan or operation sequence to manufacture a master part. So we have to select first we have to select a master part for a group of parts, or we can say that family of parts. So from those parts we have to select a master part, and for that master part the standard plan is generated, which is saved into the database. When a standard plan is retrieved, a certain degree of modification is made to use the plan of on a new component. So what we do, we retrieve that standard plan and we check for the similar degree of similarity. So if degree based on the degree of similarity, the degree of modification is decided. So accordingly, we don't have to start from the scratch. So that particular the modification or degree of modification is important, and we can save our time. And the retrieval method and logic in variant system is performed by means of classification coding scheme as used in group technology. So group technology methods are used to be operates and GT techniques are there. So in which we what we do we classify the part or classify the even a part is classified using a scheme or coding technique, and a particular code is assigned to that particular part, and again based on some logics are there. So that is so and that particular standard process plan is saved in the. This is the flow chart of that particular variant computer aided process planning system. We have part drawing. Starting with the part drawing, codes are generated for that particular part. Codes are generated, and we save and based on this code, these codes are generated for a particular family. Family is formed similar to that standard part, and this standard plan is saved in a database. Then whenever we get a whenever we get a new component to design, that standard plan is retrieved and matched with the new component, and accordingly the modifications are done. So there are some examples. There are three examples actually. In first examples, you can see the basic component is same, the basic shape of the component is same, and features also features, the type of the features, the manufacturing process for to machine these features is also same, that is milling or drilling. So if we have the first one, this one, if we have the basic part as a standard plan, so if we can plan the next like this second part is there in the first example. So we can make the slot or maybe pocket in that in starting from the standard part. Similarly, if we if the third part again slots can be made on that particular standard part. So this in the second examples, shapes are different, but operations are same. So again, but here this variant process plan cannot work because the shapes are different. We have to start from the scratch for the second part, new part. Similarly, in the third example, shapes are same, but processes may be different. So again, this variant process planning cannot work here because we have to have these two similarities. So this standardization cannot be achieved here. Advantages of retrieval cap. There are certain advantages also associated with retrieval cap. Once a standard plan has been written, a variety of parts can be planned. So we just have to worry about the standard plan. A comparatively simple program is needed and installation is required to implement the planning system. Efficient processing and evaluation of complicated activity and decisions, thus reducing time and labor requirement. Standardized procedures by structuring manufacturing knowledge of the process planner to company needs. Lower development and hardware costs, shorter development time. So these are the basic advantages of retrieval cap. Again, disadvantages also there. Consistency problem is there. Maintaining consistency in editing is difficult. We can it is difficult to adequately accommodate various combinations of material, geometry, size, precision, quality, alternative processing sequences, machine loading, etc. The quality of the final process plan generated depends to a large extent on the knowledge and the experience of the process planner. So the again here the is the main advantage, disadvantage. So to overcome these disadvantages, generative process planning approach comes into the picture. In generative process planning approach, it is automatic computer system only, which is used to generate each individual process plan automatically without reference to the prior plan. Like there is no standard plan, so we have to generate individual process plans for individual parts as and when they come. So these systems consist of decision logic, formula, technological algorithms, complex algorithms are involved, geometry-based data. So all these things make these systems fully automatic and effective. The computer automatically generates a unique operation and routes it whenever a part is open. So a unique process planning is obtained using generative process planning approach. And this is an expert system which is again a computer program that is capable of solving complex problems that normally require a human with years of education and experience. So it the generative process planning is done by developing an expert system, so which uses the uh, experience and education of the humans also. First ingredient in the process planning approach is the technical knowledge of manufacturing and the logic used in successful process planning must be captured and coded into the process planner. This is first requirement. So this is a very important requirement of the generative process planning approach. Knowledge and logic of human process planner, which is also called knowledge base, which is to be prepared for this generative approach. Generative system uses this particular knowledge base to solve process planning. A knowledge base is prepared using the decision logic rules and algorithms. A knowledge base is prepared, it is used to generate the process plan. Second requirement is computer compatible description of the part to be produced, pertinent data and information needed to the plan, the process sequence. There are two ways we can directly extract data from the geometric model, that is CAD model, or GT codes. Third one is capability to apply the process knowledge and planning logic contained in the knowledge base to a given part description. So that this 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 type of computer-aided process planning system uses its knowledge base to solve a specific problem, planning the process for a new part using an inference engine. So by using KB and IE, it synthesizes a new process plan from scratch for new part which is presented. Basically, for generative process planning, knowledge base is very important. Knowledge we prepare a knowledge base based on the knowledge of the experts, and it is a one-time activity. And then once the knowledge base is prepared, using inference engine or using inferencing, uh, we can call as per our requirement. We can search our knowledge base as per our requirement to proceed further. So this is a flow chart or structure of the generative CAD system, in which what we have first, we have a operation stack extraction sequencing module. There are certain different modules in this type of system. Operation extraction sequencing module, which include operation selection, intermediate process dimension computation, operation sequencing. Then, then next module is machine tool selection module, which takes input machine material tool, machinability data, database, and standard time and cost computation module. So we for that also standard time libraries are associated with this. Then reports are generated, which can be modified, edited, and printed also. Then this module is passed to the process. Now coming to the manufacturing knowledge, so the important part of this type of systems are manufacturing knowledge. So manufacturing knowledge generally plays a vital role in process planning. The process of acquisition and documentation of manufacturing knowledge is a recurring dynamic phenomenon. We have to continuously acquire or document the manufacturing knowledge, manufacturing information manufacturing information and knowledge. It's a continuous phenomenon because because as the time passes, new the system should be capable enough to incorporate the new knowledge and new information also. In addition, there are various sources of manufacturing knowledge such as experience of manufacturing personnel, handbooks, supplier of machine tools, jigs and fixture material inspection equipment and customer surveys can be done and handbook can be referred and the expert manufacturing person can be interviewed to make this particular manufacturing knowledge base. Hence, in order to understand the manufacturing information, ensuring its clarity and providing a framework for future modification, it is not only necessary but also inevitable to develop a good knowledge structure for wide spectrum of knowledge. So how to achieve this knowledge base? For that we have flowchart, decision tree, tables, algorithm, concept of machine surfaces, pattern recognition techniques, and artificial intelligence based techniques. Tools are generally used to serve this purpose to acquire the manufacturing knowledge and document it. So from this, I will try to explain it with an example that how decision tables are work. Decision tables generally provide a convenient way to document manufacturing knowledge. There are principal elements of all decision table process planning systems. The elements of decision tables are condition, access, and proof. So here in the figure, you can see condition, action, and rules are there, and entries there. There are three components of this decision table: condition, action, and rules. So condition there and these they all are organized in a form of a allocation matrix. So where conditions, what are the conditions actually? What do you mean by the condition in this table? Condition state a goal, what goal we want to achieve, and what goal we want to achieve. And actions state the operations we have to perform. So like actions corresponds to the operations we have to perform. These operations here operations do not refer to the machining operation. Maybe it may be machining operation. Operations mean the actions actually. The rules formed by entry values according to the experience of the expert relation establish the relation between conditions and actions. So we have to prepare some rules by establishing the relation between conditions and action. So by the using an example, it will be more clear to understand this. So here is an example. So the entry part in a decision table can be of two types. Can be of two types: Boolean type or maybe continuous type. Boolean type means true, false, 0, 1, or anything, anything like which is very crisp, yes or no type. And for a particular set of condition entries, look at its corresponding rule and form that rule determine the action. So example, if I take the example, for example, if my condition is to drill a hole, So my task is my aim is or my goal is I have to drill a hole in a particular part. From so from that then from the rules we look for the rule that can be applied, and from that rule we get the solution. So in the table, what you can see that there are certain conditions are written. Conditions are written which are certain conditions are written in which first condition is length of the bar. First condition, length of the bar is greater than equal to 8 inches. Second one is diameter of the bar is less than equal to 1 inches. Then diameter of bar is greater than equal to 1 inches. My action should be whether to provide extra support or not. That means I have to decide that actually this is an example of a turning operation on a lathe where we drill a hole in a workpiece which is fixed on a jug jug, and the tool is coming, the head tail stroke is coming from outside. So we have to decide to see what whether to provide a extra support to the workpiece or not in order to have that hole drilled. So my aim is So my action is extra support, whether to provide extra support or not. So for that, conditions are given. So and then TF entries are T and F entries represent the rule. So for example in the first column you can see if the length of the bar is greater than equal to 8 inches, it is written true. Like means if the length of the bar is greater than equal to 8 inches and diameter of the bar is greater than or equal to 1 inches. In the third row, it is also written true. That means these two conditions are true. The rule is if these two conditions are true, that means if I have a bar of length greater than or equal to 8 inches and diameter greater than or equal to 1 inches, so I will have there is a T in this column against extra support also. That means we have to provide an extra support for that. So the rule can be framed in such a way कि if the length of the bar is greater than or equal to 8 inches and diameter of the bar is greater than or equal to 1 inch, so we have to provide a extra support. So we can easily uh, logically we can easily reduce the action whether to do or not. Similarly, in the second column against length of the bar greater than or equal to 8 inches, F is written. That means this condition is not true. Like if the bar length is less than 8, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether to provide extra support or not. Like don't care. Similarly, if the diameter of the bar is greater than equal to 1 inches, which is T is written there. So again, action like whether to provide extra support or not, the rule says the rule says don't care. That means it's to use. So this type of decision table involve entries in a Boolean type value, like true, false, or yes or no. Type. So we can have another type of table where we have the continuous entries, continuous values. For the same example, if I take length and diameter as conditions, so against the rules, like directly values are written. For example, against length of bar, it is written in the second column. Second column corresponds to less than equal to 4, greater than equal. The third is greater than equal to 4, and so on. Similarly, diameter of the bar also some values are given. So we can decide upon the action that is whether to provide extra support or not. Like if we have from this table, I can clearly see that if we have a bar of diameter less than zero point 0.2 inches, so extra support should be provided. Similarly, from the third rule or third column, we can say if the is less than bar length is less than 4 inches and diameter is greater than zero point 0.2, the extra support is the don't care for extra support to provide on it. Similarly, you can easily, using these rules, you can easily reduce that, reduce upon the action. So based on this decision table, let us take an example, a big, bigger example. So here,
हेलो
hello,
हाँ कुछ बोल रहे थे क्या मनीष जी
no, sir, no, sir. So let us take a different example, bigger example, where we consider a problem of selection of lathe or grinding machine for jobs involving turning or grinding operation. So data on conditions such as lot size, diameter, surface area, and tolerances desired are available here in form of conditions. They are they are compiled in the form of decision table as shown in the table. And now we have to recommendation on machine selection if the conditions are, if the cases are, in first case, if the lot size of the job is 70 units, diameter is relatively small, surface roughness desired is 30 micrometers, and the tolerance range required is plus minus 0.003 inches. So what should be the recommendation on machine selection? Okay, so I think, like, let us take this case first. So first, see the lot size. A lot size of the job is given as 70 units. So in the conditions table, I have LS less than, in the first row LS less than 10, second row LS greater than 50, third row LS greater than 4,000. So I have my recommendation or my condition fulfilled by the second row. So second row LS greater than 50, 70 like 70 incorporated in that. So corresponding to the second condition, which is greater than 50, rule again the rule 2, there is a like again the rule 2 will fire, and rule 2 will fire means if the so we select this thing, then next is diameter is relatively small diameter is in 1, 2, 3, 2, 5, 6, 4. Again, rule 2 satisfies that. Then surface reference desired is 30 micrometers. 30 micrometers surface reference. It comes into the second row of one, two, three, four, seventh row of the table. Again, rule 2 satisfies that. Then and the tolerance range required. Tolerance range required is 0.003. 0.003 comes into the comes into comes into uh, 8 or 9 anyway. Plus minus, sorry, this one, 10th one, 0.0003. So this rule 2 is satisfied. So we can say again this rule 2, you can see engine lathe and centerless grinding machine. The numbers are written 1 and 2. 1 and 2. 1 and 2 means the order is defined. Actually, for that particular case, A case, which is given in A, so it can be deduced from the decision table that first we have to use engine lathe and then centerless grinding machine to achieve all these requirements. So from this decision table, it is deduced that it is deduced that for the given conditions, engine lathe to be used first and then centerless grinding machine to be used second. Similarly, in the next case, when the lot size of the job is less than 10 unit diameter, relatively small surface reference desired is 45 micrometer, and the tolerance range is required plus minus 0.004. So we have, can you say, like we have which rule we have to decide? First, see the lot size. It is less than 10 unit. Less than 10 unit means first row. First row means rule 1. Then diameter is relatively small. Relatively small diameter means again rule 1. Again rule 1. Again rule 1. Then surface roughness desired is 45 micrometer. 45 meter means again rule 1, and similarly tolerance is also rule 1. So in from the rule 1 we can the against the engine length there is a cross. Cross means engine length should be selected. So for the second case, from the decision table, we can decide that the engine lathe machine tool should be selected for the particular attribute or particular conditions. Similarly, third case also we can select lot size greater than 50 units, greater than 15 units means again two or three can be selected. So we have to decide two or three. Then diameter relatively small, move to the diameter values. Again, rule of 2 and 3. We have to decide upon 2 and 3. Then surface reference 20 microns. Surface reference 20 microns means rule again 2 and 3. 2 and 3. Then tolerance is less than 0.0008. So in this case, rule 2 will fail. Rule 3 does not satisfy the requirement. Rule 3 rule 2 does not satisfy the requirement. So again, rule 3 again is commanded that current rate should be used. So from this decision table, it is very easy. Like each decision tables are made based on the knowledge base or experience, and then they are searched using an inference engine for a particular problem for the selection. Now coming to the comparison part, if I compare the two types of CAP method, that is variant and generative, the coding system is simple in variant method, which is detailed in whereas it is detailed in generative method. Geometry, complicated geometry, part geometry, like complicated means if variant process planning methods have part families to deal with actually. Whereas generative process planning method can be process plans can be generated for individual process parts. Similarity between family component high and generative, we have to have generate process plans for each and every part, so we don't get similar process plans for different plans. But in variant process plan, it is based on the similarity of the process plan. Family size large, generative small, definitely. Database variant, we have to have a large database for variant process planning, because always we don't get standard parts for a particular part to be designed. So we have to have a large database of part family. Whereas generative small database means like a fixed databases are there. Investment and effort, with respect to investment and effort, variant cap systems are highly like highly effortful. High effort is involved in variant planning system, high investment, whereas generative low. But we can't say low because the main cost of generative process planning system is involved in the developing complex algorithms and databases, and this development part cost is involved. Otherwise, later on cost relatively lower cost is involved. So that's why if I compare with variant, relatively low cost it is on the lower side only. Time to develop variant process planning systems can be developed in no time or short time. Why? Because we just have to develop a process plan for the standard part, and then the comparing thing and modifications have to be done. But generative long, because each and every part has to be done differently. Even intervention variant high, obviously we see that because we have to check for similarity and subsequently modify the current part depending on the standard part. Generative human intervention is negligible once the database and the software is prepared. With almost no intervention, the plans can be generated. That too automatically. Now coming to the important question, that variant or generative, which one to be used? Like if I ask you out of variant or generative, which one is better? So this question is generally frequently asked, but actually, in actually say there is no definite answer to it, because sometimes variant system is useful and sometimes generative process planning systems are very better suited. So variant systems are better suited for manufacturing settings where similar parts are manufactured repetitively, like in the case of batch manufacturing or bulk manufacturing, where similar parts are manufactured, more or less similar parts are manufactured in a large number or repetitively. Because these parts are similar, so if these GT codes can be generated or can be implemented easily, and also investment can be like we can have high on we can have high return on the investment. Similar parts are because similar parts are produced repeatedly. Process plant can be retrieved, slightly modified, and used without going through too much effort. It is like quite obvious. On the other hand, generative process planning is better suited for manufacturing environment which part does not exhibit too much similarity and new part are introduced on a regular basis, like airspace engineering, airspace industry, or any other industry where where is limited number of parts or parts of demands are manufactured. And so for that, generative process planning is better because because it generates process plans for different parts which don't have much similarity. So if these parts are coming regularly in an enterprise, so definitely we have to choose generative process. In this case, benefits cannot be gained for new technology due to dissimilarity in the parts because the new parts are regularly obtained, and historical data does not have too much of value in the process. So with this, I feel overall, I have given the overall introduction of the process planning, computer process planning system, manual process planning system, and also what are the different techniques. Well, this is the only this is just the starting of this computer process planning system. Research is being continuously done in this field, and we have still not achieved the optimum optimum level in this area. So and also the next in the next if I could explain this how to automate the various activities under process planning activities, which include such as setup planning, feature recognition. These are very important and research is being done continuously in that field. So maybe I hope you I hope it became useful for whatever talk today I delivered. Thank you so much. If you have any questions. Hello.
So, participants, our session have ended. So, if you have any queries, you can please write in the chat box. If you have any queries, you can write in the chat box. Or just raise your hand, I will unmute you.
Madam, somebody raised a hand, na? Harish.
सर
Harish.
वो काफी पहले से है सर.
अच्छा, पहले से है वो.
पहले से है सर.
Okay. So, right. Total attendance now 53. So, dear participants, if you have any questions, Any queries, you can write it in chat box so that our expert can answer the questions. Dr. Umesh Gupta is there? Or Dr.
Yes,
Umesh?
he's there.
कमी होगी तो ठीक करा
Dr.
Hello.
Umesh Gupta.
ठीक है दोनों तो क्योंकि ना कोशिश करना 31 नंबर पे करना
Hello.
Dr. Umesh Gupta.
यस गुड मॉर्निंग मैम
Good morning. You have any question? You are asking something question, I think. You please elaborate the question.
1 minute sir
Fine.
touching the mic sir
Father.
good morning sir very nice session
Okay, fine.
and great experience in what manner you explain the cap planning all those things I listened that in a very careful manner and very nice manner and great session Manish sir
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
no questions sir
Okay, no problem. No.
sir
Any others?
sir share the feedback form so that we can fill that feedback form
Okay, that will be in afternoon. Afternoon with 3:30 will be floating in your chat box, and you can fill it. 3:30 to 4 feedback and quiz section will be there. Then
okay sir
4 to 5 there will be again class.
so okay sir 3:30 to 4 the same you will share in the chat box as well as in the our WhatsApp group
Email, WhatsApp and email. Okay, no problem.
WhatsApp and Google Classroom is also there
Yeah,
you can
we
share
can share it either in chat box or in WhatsApp group. You can see and
तीनों group better sir we share in the all the three basically students are using our people are using WhatsApp group as well as chat so WhatsApp is better option
Okay, no problem. We'll send it.
thank you sir very nice session thank you sir thank you Manish, sir
But
Thank
you
you,
please
sir.
attend from 3:30 to 5 session. Don't miss it. Today is the last day. Okay.
so definitely I will attend actually sir some university work is there but I'm attending
Because
if some
if I
problem is
post in
there
WhatsApp group now, you can fill anytime. But in
Okay,
chat
sir.
box only will give that link of Google feedback form.
yeah
You see, watch your chat box link.
definitely sir I'm online only sir
Fine, no problem. So any others? Any questions from other participants? If no question is there, we can wind up the session now. And if you have any kind of questions again further, you can take email ID of Dr. Manish and you can just have an interaction with him so that he can clarify the questions and other things with you for you. Dr. Manish, you can use email ID also in chat box.
Okay. In the chat box, sir?
In chat box, you just note it, write down so they can note down. The option chat box you can see.
No, it is. I think it is not. It is disabled.
नहीं चैट बॉक्स है ना 1 2 3 4 फिफ्थ रो में है देखिए चैट
Sir, at the right side.
The right side. You mean it?
नहीं नीचे बॉटम में देखिए
Sir,
बॉटम में
bottom में
फर्स्ट
कुछ
म्यूट है
buttons बने हुए हैं उन पे आप राइट साइड से देखिए थर्ड
No,
बटन है
it is disabled.
चैट इज डिसेबल्ड नहीं
Yes, sir.
नहीं अभी आएगा देखो
okay then sir you can write it in the MS Word and show
Check.
the
It is
attendance.
disabled actually. I don't know why. But to host I can message. To
आप
host I can
होस्ट को
message.
मुझे कर दीजिए सर होस्ट को कर दीजिए then we'll forward it.
नहीं आप बोल दीजिए मनीष आप बोल दीजिए मैं बोल एमके क्या है आपका MKG
mkg.iitm@gmail.com.
mkg.iitm
Yes, sir.
@
Gmail.com.
gmail.com
सर उन्होंने होस्ट को कर दिया
सॉरी होस्ट को
I don't know why the chat box is disabled.
नहीं चैट बॉक्स डिसेबल नहीं है मनीष अभी तो देखो मैडम मीनू मैडम थोड़ा सा देखिए क्या है
सर
प्रॉब्लम
डिसेबल नहीं है, जो उन्होंने आईडी डाली है वो होस्ट को चली गई है और उसमें से सर एक्चुअली सिलेक्ट करना पड़ता है to whom you want to send
Okay,
to host
okay,
send
right.
हाँ
Sorry, ma'am. Yes, it is there.
इवन राइट साइड में एक कॉलम है ना मनीष पार्टिसिपेंट बोल के लिखा है
नहीं, ठीक है, now I got it, sir. Thank you.
हाँ उसमें भी लिख सकते हो Okay, thank you, Dr. Manish.
Okay.
Very wonderful session from yours
Thank you,
that is
sir.
on computer-aided process planning. You have
you.
explained all about generative processes, retrieval processes, and all the things. So it is a very nice interaction with you. And after PhD also, I am personally meeting you on this web.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
it is
sir.
very nice to
Hope,
see.
hope we will meet sometimes in person.